Hey, what's going on, Steelers Nation? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty, people. Steelers Almighty again, man. We are the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube, and that's all thanks to you guys, man. So we appreciate all the love and support. Thank you guys for showing up again, man. We got a big show today. Got a lot of things that we want to get to. We're going to break all this stuff down for you. First things first, we got to fix Broderick Jones. That's the first thing. We got to get this guy back to playing, not just back to the level that he was back at last year, but even higher than what he is. He's looked bad this preseason. We got to fix him. There's a couple of things that we're going to talk about on how we might be able to do that. Number two, we're going to give you an injury update and where the Steelers sit currently with injuries and timelines and all that stuff there. Some of these things are unfortunate that guys are out for the season, but we're going to talk about some of that as well. Next up, slot corner position. We thought we had this thing locked up early in camp, but I think we all probably should have known it was early in camp. That's why we kept saying it's early. It's early. Well, now it's late, and we don't know who's going to be the starting slot corner for the Pittsburgh Steelers at this time. We got some thoughts on that. Then last but not least, I think it's a QB battle. I know I've said on a couple of lives that I don't think that it is, but I think it is. Not only is it a QB battle, people, some rumors came out today from some people that it actually might have some legs on a possible trade. Make sure you guys stick around to the end. I can't believe that I'm actually saying this trade, but it's got some teeth. It's got some teeth. Don't know that it's going to happen. So don't quote me and say, oh, Big B said it was going to happen. I'm not saying it. All I'm saying is it's actually got some teeth. So we're going to take a look at that all and more. We appreciate everybody being in here. As always, man, weekly, you can find Steelers Almighty podcast right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere that you get a podcast, you can always check out Steelers Almighty on the podcast if you like the audio version. But on social media, anywhere that you see Steelers Almighty is on all the social media platforms. So appreciate you guys. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you know when all our videos come out. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into it. So first things first, Broderick Jones, man. First off, we got to put Broderick Jones at left tackle. All right, let's stop all the dilly-dallying around and put the man at left tackle. He was drafted to be a left tackle. He's in year 2. There's no reason that he can't be at left tackle. Let me just say this. I don't give a damn what Dan Moore can't do, okay? Or Dan Moore Jr. I literally don't give a damn what he can't do. That shouldn't be the Pittsburgh Steelers' problem. That's a Dan Moore Jr. problem. So if he couldn't go and compete or play right tackle at all, why is that our fault? Why is that Broderick Jones' fault, more importantly? Put the man at left tackle. That's what he is. That's what he's always been. That's what he was drafted to be. That's what Omar Khan said he was going to be in February. All this other stuff, it's time to stop. Not to mention, we drafted a right tackle of the future in Troy Fautanu. It's time to put him there. Stop with the nonsense. Let's stop with the nonsense. Now, let's dig in a little bit to what Broderick Jones is doing right now. We say put him at left tackle, but hell, can he even beat Dan Moore Jr. out of the job? Which clearly I think he can, but he's not playing well right now. But I don't want to hear the hurt excuse. Okay? I just don't want to hear that. And again, that's not me saying that I don't believe Broderick Jones is not hurt. I'm not saying I don't believe that because I mean, he says, well, let me just say this. He said it's not a factor. He just has to play better. Well, when somebody tells you that, shouldn't you believe him? Okay, well, he's not hurt. We can see that he is. We've got eyes. You know, I say this all the time, man. Don't let your eyes lie to you. We see what's going on here. We know what's going on. But look at some of this stuff. You see the play here at Broderick Jones and what he's doing. This was bad against Buffalo. That's bad play, man. And I know people are going to start screaming about, Oh, well, his right arm is hurt and he can't extend it and he's using a brace. Well, then why is he out there? Like that play had nothing to do with Broderick Jones. That has nothing to do with him extending his arm. That's just him getting tossed like a rag doll. I don't want to. I mean, if he's hurt, it's the preseason, people. Guys sit out with hangnails in the preseason. I mean, look at that. That's terrible. Terrible. And if he's really that hurt, you got to sit him out. You got to sit him out. I mean, there's no reason to be out there playing. He's not cutting off guys on the backside. He's not reaching guys. He was a dominator in the run game, ultra athletic. Those are things that he's not doing now. All I'm saying is we can't just let this hurt thing be the excuse. If he's hurt, then get him rested up to go play football during the regular season. And I know what he said. Well, I'm as healthy as I'm going to be. Well, first of all, what does that mean? But number two, you can't tell me that resting a little bit isn't going to help you. It's going to help you. But I don't know. I'm just not willing to give him that excuse if you're out there playing in the preseason hurt. Not to mention, if this is what we're going to get from you in the regular season, we got to get somebody else out there. I mean, let's just be honest. In the 3 series, you give up 2.5 sacks in 3 series? And if you want to say 5 overall, okay, fine. In 5 series, you gave up 2.5 sacks? How are we going to live and win like that? No, people. That can't be the case. So we got to get him to left tackle, get him all the reps that he can get. I think he's better than Dan Moore Jr., even though Dan Moore Jr.'s played. I shouldn't say he's played well. He's played okay in the preseason. He has. Well, sorry. You're not in the plans for the future. This guy's better than you. What he brings to the table is more than what you can bring to the table. The only reason that I don't believe that he's over there is maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers don't believe that he's capable right now. I mean, the whole problem with Broderick Jones has always been, his pass protection. He was so dominant in college that nobody had counter moves. Well, in the NFL, guys have counter moves, and he's having problems dealing with counter moves. Well, at least get him in the right position to deal with counter moves. He's just getting overwhelmed, being pushed around, not being physical at the point of attack. We can't let if he's saying that his arm in the brace isn't a problem, well, then why do we have to give him a pass for that? He said he has to be better, then just be better. But I don't think he needs to be better on the right side. Troy Fautanu will be back. We'll get into that injury a little bit, but he'll be back for week 1. It's time to get Broderick to the left side, and let's end all the nonsense. End it all. He's just got to get back to being his athletic self, because that's where he's at his best. Power and athleticism. Got to get back to that. Got to get back to that. And if because he's getting beat, it wasn't just because of his arm. He's getting beat on stuff because he's too high, in his pass sets. He's way too high, especially trying to get outside and run block. He's too high. Guys are getting it into his chest. His foot placement is bad. His punch, just where his hands are bad. It's just been bad. It's not just because of an arm brace. We got to stop that narrative. He just been playing bad. It's okay to say, but now he's got to play better. And he needs to play better on the left side. It's time for that to happen, people. Enough is enough, Pittsburgh Steelers. Get Broderick Jones over to the left side, and let's get this thing moving. Got a poll question. So what is the fix for the Steelers at right tackle with Broderick Jones struggling? Is it to leave Jones at right tackle? Is it move Jones to left tackle? Or is it to bench Jones and to let him get healthy? So A is leave Jones at right tackle. B, move Jones to left tackle. And C, bench Jones and let him get healthy. Leave all your answers / comments in the comments section, people. Good poll question. I want to know what your thoughts are. Let's move on. So, injury update. Well, the first one is a big one. It is a big one. Nate Herbig out for the year, torn rotator cuff. Yeah, that sucks. It sucks. It sucks because look, Zach Frazier was tracking to be the starting center. He was a better center than Nate Herbig. He just was. I mean, and everybody wanted to see Zach Frazier be the starting center week 1 when we take on the Falcons. Everybody wanted to see that. And that's going to happen now, again, barring anything else. Let's knock on wood. Zach Frazier is going to be that guy. He's been playing pretty well in the 2 preseason games. He's done well in practice, in the joint practice. He's done his job. We like what Zach Frazier is doing. He was tracking to be the guy anyway. But we needed Nate Herbig just for the simple fact of we need some depth. Every offensive line needs depth. And unfortunately, Nate got hurt, torn rotator cuff. I know he was looking for a second opinion. Unless that one doctor is going to say, if you have a torn rotator cuff, it's hard for me to believe that another doctor's not going to see the same thing. Hopefully, maybe that's the case, man. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a partial and he can get back in. But if it's a torn rotator cuff, he's going to need surgery and he's going to be out for the year. So that is unfortunate there. Other injury front, Jaylen Warren, pulled hamstring, out 2 to 4 weeks. Everything that everybody said is that he should be back for week 1. He should be. Now, here's the big question about Jaylen Warren getting hurt. What do the Steelers do at the running back position if he's not back for week 1? Say he's out a week or 2. What are the Steelers going to do? Cut down day is August 27th. What do we do? Are we okay with the guys that are on our roster? Because it can't just be Najee Harris and Cordero Patterson and that's it. And then another guy I don't think that's enough. Now, I know what you're going to say. Come on, B. Why do we need 3 running backs? Because you need 3 running backs. We had a good running back room and a good balance in a running back room when it's Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, Cordero Patterson, and maybe somebody else on the practice squad. Well, now you got to move that practice squad guy up. I don't know. If I'm the Steelers, I wait. I wait on this one. Unless they're really, really satisfied with who they currently have in the running back room, I wait till cut down day. Because I just think that there's going to be a guy that does not make a roster that's going to be better than some of the guys that we currently have. Edwards, Piron. I think there's going to be a guy out there that gets cut that may be better. Now, yes, they're Steelers. Do we always want them to be Steelers? I get all of that. But at the 3rd and 4th and 5th running back position, I think we just want the best guy possible. That's what I believe. And so this might be a position where the Steelers wait. On the 53-man roster, they look to see who's out there. So, like I said, cut down day is August 27th. That's next Tuesday. They might just wait and say, okay, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Well, let's see what's out there. And if we need to make a move, or maybe Jaylen Warren is healed, things are looking better, and they can just make a regular decision. So we'll see what happens there. But if he's going to be out a week or 2, Steelers got to make a move for sure at the running back position because they can't just go with that. I think they got to do something. We'll see what happens. Troy Fautanu mentioned earlier, sprained MCL. Everything, all reports, including himself, he'll be ready for week 1. That is great news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kind of sounds like he could probably go out there today or tomorrow, said things are progressing slow, but they're still progressing. Kind of sounds like, hey, maybe if this was a game, he might give it a go, considering he got hurt in the preseason game and he didn't come out of the game. He came out when it was time for him to come out. He didn't come out when he got hurt. That's not when he removed himself from the game. So whatever was hurting, which we know what was hurting, whenever he got hurt, he battled through it and then came out. And then now, okay, this is what's going on. Sprain MCL, need to sit out. So it sounds like he could probably go now if he needed to, but he doesn't have to go now. We still got some time, a couple of weeks. I like him to be back for week 1. That is going to be great for that offensive line. It's going to be great for the offensive line. So to try to get that solidified. Alex Highsmith, number 1, he could have played if it was a regular season game. That's what everybody says with the groin injury. So he'll be back for week 1. They're just slow playing it. No reason for him to be out there. Same thing with Dante Jackson. Again, slow playing him. No reason for him to be out there. If the Bills game was a regular season game, both Highsmith and Jackson both would have played. So, like I said, they're resting, but no reason to be overly concerned at this point because it looks like they're tracking. Not only tracking, it looks like they're going to be back for week 1. So that's a good thing. The one loss, and the last injury that I'll talk about today is Beanie Bishop. Hamstring. Beanie Bishop has apparently, and we'll get into this a little bit later, lost his job. It's unfortunate because I like Beanie Bishop. I thought he was playing well, but I don't know, man. It seems like the Steelers didn't think he was playing well, but we'll get into that here in just a second. But Beanie Bishop, hamstring, got hurt in practice, didn't play against the Bills. We'll see when he comes back. He's a guy we thought had the starting slot position. He needs to get back as soon as he can because reps are only going to help him. Maybe the Steelers have already seen enough to say this guy's going to be on the team, but if it comes down to it, he could be a casualty, and it could be because of injury, which stinks. It absolutely stinks. But, I mean, we got to have the best guy. Again, the best ability is availability, people. We got to have the best available guy. We saw what we went through last year, especially in the secondary. Lord have mercy. Guys dropping like flies. So, and linebackers part of the secondary, I get it. You know, the back seven, Lord, just injury after injury after injury. So, we'll talk about slot corner a little bit, but Beanie Bishop, man, we got to get that figured out, people. Too bad for Beanie. Hopefully he gets well soon. Let's move on to a quick little halftime here. First thing is, thank everybody for making a Steelers Almighty the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube today. We started April 4th of this year, and we have just been busting it, man. So take a look at our weekly schedule for during the season. We got our weekly podcast, just like this one's going to come out on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We have our live. We're going to do live post games. We're going to live pregame. Haven't decided on the pregame. It's either going to be Friday night or Saturday morning. We're going to decide which one. And again, those are kind of fluid because if the Steelers play on a Thursday or they play on a Monday, some of that's going to get messed around. But on just regular work week or game weeks, I should say, this is what the schedule is going to be. So, and remember the hotline, people. Start calling into the hotline. That way we can go through it and we can put you on a podcast as of now. Look, the hotline number, 412-444-8390. 412-444-8390. Remember to leave your name, your YouTube username, email address, and where you're calling from. Leave a rant, question, comment, whatever it is. And again, at the halftime segment, I will start reading it, or better yet, we will play it, and then I will respond to it. We'll have you up on the screen and all that good stuff, people. So make sure you start calling into the Steelers Almighty hotline as of now. And again, super chats, Lord have mercy. We got another one. Capricorn Steel has sent us another super chat. We appreciate it and thank everybody who has done that. This is the latest one that we received. We're always going to thank you on the show, man. So we appreciate it. Now, supers obviously are wide open, but it's not the only way that you can help support us and help keep putting out this content, people. Remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, comment, because I love going back and forth with you guys, man. So continue to do that. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's move on. So, slot corner. Slot corner is for grabs. As I just mentioned and talked about Beanie Bishop, it looked like it was his job. It looked like it was his job to lose. Played the first preseason game. He had been in the starting group basically since camp started. And then all of a sudden, the next week of practice, he doesn't have the job. Now, granted, he hadn't been hurt yet by that time, but he didn't have the job. And we're all thinking, what's going on? And I don't know. Grayland Arnold had taken his reps. That's what happened. I was disappointed, but I thought, okay, well, maybe they're just trying to put some pressure on Beanie Bishop, to see how he responds to it. Well, Grayland Arnold goes out for the year. He's on IR. And Beanie Bishop didn't get his job back. And then he got hurt. Thomas Graham ended up taking his job and took the reps. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem, like I said, we thought that Beanie Bishop had the job. Well, everything that we had seen, everything that was reported on, it looked that way. But apparently the Steelers had other ideas on who was going to be out there. And I don't know, man. It just, right now, it kind of feels like, and Teryl Austin, defensive coordinator, said it kind of feels like the last man standing as far as whoever's healthy is going to get the job. Well, it can't be that. I mean, first of all, they can't just keep going next man up. It can't continuously, guys get hurt, next man up, next man up, next man up. And I know what some of you are going to say, well, that's what football is, B. Guys get hurt, it's got to be next man up. Well, that's fine to an extent. If we keep going next man up, eventually, and I think that might be where we're at now, we're going to run into some guys that just aren't that good at the position. So we can't just keep saying, okay, we'll just go to the next guy. Well, we'll just go to the next guy. The next guy might actually be on a different football team. Let's just be honest. The next guy very well might be on another football team or isn't here right now. Again, nobody signed Xavier Howard yet. And maybe it's because he can't play anymore. He didn't have the greatest year last year, but it wasn't just downright awful. It wasn't just despicable where you could say, oh, he doesn't deserve to be in the league anymore. It wasn't that. We just saw Stephon Gilmore get signed. He just signed with Minnesota. So there's still guys that are out there. I'm not saying Xavier Howard's the savior, but he could be. We talked earlier about, do we want to trade for James Bradbury in Philadelphia? Now, we've seen Bradbury in the preseason. Bradbury looks pathetic. He looks bad. But by all accounts, he's not on the chopping block for the Eagles. I don't know if he's going to be starting, but it doesn't look like he's on the chopping block. Maybe you can grab him for a 7th round pick. Who knows? And if you can, the Steelers may think about doing that. And while he's been bad in the preseason, first of all, Broderick Jones has been bad in the preseason. But while he's been bad, it doesn't mean that he wouldn't be better than what we currently have. Doesn't mean that. Does he come with a little bit of a price tag? Yeah. But I think there's a way that you can work some of that out where Philly has to eat that. But I don't know. Like I said, it can't just continuously be next guy up, next man up, because you're going to run into guys that shouldn't be on your 53-man roster. And they're in your 53-man roster. Not only that, they're starting. Here's a scenario, though. And somebody pointed this out to me. I don't think it's necessarily true. They said that Deshaun Elliott might be a candidate to play slot corner. Now, I don't know that he's done that, but that was kind of something that came up in conversation, said that he could start at slot corner. And that KZ would come in the nickel. I don't know that you want necessarily to do that, because that's not what Elliott thrives in. That's not what he thrives in. Not saying he can't do it. That's not what he thrives in. I'd much rather have Mika Fitzpatrick there if that's what you were going to do. But at the same time, isn't that what we were doing last year? And then Mika wasn't doing what he does best. Mika is a top 3 safety in this league when he's allowed to play the free safety position, not playing slot corner because somebody else can't do it. So I don't think that's an option either, but we'll see. We will see. Let's get to the poll question. Let's get to the poll question. What is it? With injuries mounting up, what is the Steelers' best option at slot cornerback prior to Cam Sutton coming back week 9? Because a lot of people think that whoever's got the job currently right now in the Steelers, they think that they're just babysitting that job until Cam Sutton comes back. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. We'll see. We will see. Corey Trice Jr. could be thrown in that mix, but I don't know. I think he's more of an outside guy. But anyway, back to the poll question. With injuries mounting, what is the Steelers' best option at slot cornerback prior to Cam Sutton coming back in week 9? Is it A, they sign a veteran free agent? I think y'all know. I think that's where my option is. B, trade for a quality QB or cornerback. I mean, quality is the key statement there. This late in the game, is somebody still wanting to trade a quality corner? I don't know. We'll see. And then C, play things out with the current roster. Hopefully, guys just get healthy. Beanie Bishop, if he's the guy, maybe he just gets healthy and we can go down that road. I think that maybe that's the best option. But anyway, A, sign a veteran free agent. B, trade for a quality cornerback. Or C, play things out with the current roster. Make sure you leave your answers inside of the comment section. So let's move on, people. It's like right now we have a cornerback battle that is on our hands. Now, the first thing that people are going to say, and you would be right, come on, B, don't be a hypocrite. You said it wasn't no QB battle. Justin Fields was playing with the 3 and 4 offensive line. There ain't no way that this is a quarterback battle. Maybe I was wrong, people. You know what? Everybody doesn't get it right. Maybe I was wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I think I could have been wrong. I don't believe it, but I don't know. The thing about it is, I'm reluctant to still judge Russ on what he did in preseason game number 2 because Russ, I don't think you could grade him. I don't know that you could grade either one of them, but Russ in particular, the guy didn't have a ton of time to throw the football. And it was evident. He just didn't. He didn't have a lot of time to throw. He got sacked 3 damn times. It was terrible. Now, I will say this. When he did have some time, or when he had to take a hit, he could have made different throws. Russ, he took the easy way out, throwing check downs, when sometimes you could have made the tough throw into traffic or put a tight throw in a tight window. And I know you don't want to put the ball in harm's way, but I'm sorry, this is the National Football League. At some time, you have to put the ball in tight windows in this league. And there were several times that he could have thrown the ball to George Pickens in this game against Buffalo where Pickens, he's open. There's coverage, but he's open. You got to throw that football. There's another time where Pickens jumps up and down. He is so frustrated that he's on coverage. It's man-to-man coverage. He's in the slot with a linebacker covering him. That's literally what you want. That is exactly what you want. And it might be this play. Nope, not this one. But yeah, and then he doesn't throw it. And I'm like, come on, Russ. What are you doing, man? You got to throw that football. That's why you put George Pickens in the slot, is to get a mismatch. And then when you get the mismatch and you don't throw it, well, then what's the point? You have your best receiver, one of the better receivers in the National Football League, one-on-one with the linebacker, and you don't throw that ball? You're playing it too safe. That's to the detriment of the Steelers. And we can't do that. You have to throw the ball when you have mismatches. You got to make those throws. You just got to do it. And he played it too safe. But again, I don't think it's a quality evaluation just for the simple fact the guy didn't have a lot of time to throw the football. Now, you check that with Justin Fields, I don't judge Justin Fields because he's out there with the threes and the fours. Okay? He was out there with the threes and the fours. 3 receivers, 3 offensive line, 3 fours, or 4 offensive linemen, 4 wide receivers. How do you evaluate that when this guy's trying to be the starter? You can't. You can't. So it doesn't look great. So I don't know that we can really have a fair evaluation of him other than the one throw that everybody's talking about. Other than that. Now, look, I will go back and I will admit, a better receiver tracks this football and makes the catch. I can absolutely admit that. Okay. However, the ball was still a bad ball. It was a bad ball. He has 35 yards to throw this football. And instead of doing that, he puts it at a spot where, again, this receiver, he's not going to be on the football team next week. He's just not. Puts it in a spot where he's having to track it. And that's why he's not in the National Football, or he's not going to make a 53-man roster because he's not capable of tracking the ball. So I will say that the receiver, yes, should have adjusted and at least made an attempt, a better attempt. And a good receiver probably catches the ball. But I don't want any of that to mistake that it was a bad ball that was thrown. It was a bad ball. Not to mention, you see all these plays, he's taking off running because his offensive line, that's what he's having to do. We already know he can do this. We already know that he can get in and out of trouble. We know that. We see it. We have seen it for 3 years. Get in and out of trouble. Use his legs. Okay. But that's not what we want. These 3 things. We want you to not put the ball in harm's way, to get us in and out of a bad play pre-snap, and to be able to get the ball to our guys in a position where they can make plays with it, and that requires accuracy and ball placement. So again, don't put the ball in harm's way. Get us in and out of a good or bad, or out of a bad play and put us in a good play pre-snap, and then get the ball to guys where they can do something with it, which again is accuracy and ball placement. The field still has a little ways to go with both of those. Either way, I'm still not ready to say I evaluated him on the Buffalo game, and most fans should be able to say the same thing. Can't really evaluate a guy when he's playing with the number 2s and the number 3s, regardless of what the numbers look like. It's still a battle, though. Apparently, it is still a battle. So I didn't think it was based on that because of where Fields was playing and when he was playing. But apparently, hey, the Steelers are saying that this is still a battle. Now, let's throw a little monkey wrench into all of this. This is what I told you guys that you needed to stick around for. A trade possibility came up today. Mike Tannenbaum, who former general manager in the National Football League, on ESPN today, throws out a trade scenario that says the Steelers trade Russell Wilson to the Minnesota Vikings, and then they sign Ryan Tannehill. The first thought was, give me a break. Come on, man. What are you talking about? ESPN doesn't need to clickbait. What are we doing? And then you saw some other people talk about it. And you saw a few other people talk about it. And then you saw people agreeing with it. And then I'm like, uh-oh, this thing actually has some legs. How can that be? You're telling me my Pittsburgh Steelers, we're going to go from baby hands Pickett, then to basket case Tannehill being on the roster? Oh, my God. It can't be true, can it, people? Now, at face value, it's actually not a horrible idea. It's not horrible. If you're a Justin Fields believer, It's actually not horrible because if you can trade Russell Wilson, you probably won't get anything but a 7th round pick, if that. And you get Tannehill. Tannehill knows the offense, and he can help Justin Fields know where to go within the offense. And if he happened to go, Fields went down, I mean, look, Tannehill had his best seasons when Arthur Smith was his offensive coordinator. Now, granted, they had Derrick Henry, okay, but, I mean, the truth is the truth. Tannehill had his best seasons when Arthur Smith was his offensive coordinator in Tennessee. Fell apart after that, which is why I call him basket case Tannehill. But it's not horrible at face value. Would I do it? Hell no. But I'm biased because I don't want basket case on anywhere near my football team. But it's not a despicable trade. It actually isn't. And I can't believe I'm saying that. But it actually isn't. Again, we got rid of baby hands, and there's a possibility that we would bring back basket case. Yeah. I don't know how I would feel about that, people. I don't know how I would feel about that. Either way, that's the trade that's been thrown out there. I don't think it's logical, or that let me say this. Let me take a step back. I don't think it's going to happen. But that doesn't mean that it's not a little bit logical. It's a little bit. Because, again, what have you seen from Russell Wilson that says, yeah, we shouldn't trade him to Minnesota? Now, I don't know that Minnesota would want Russ because, well, yeah, I do, because Sam Darnold is their quarterback. So, yeah, Russell Wilson's better than him. So I would see why they would want to do that. But I don't know. For the Steelers, I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. You brought Russell Wilson here. He hasn't been that bad. Now, he's been hurt, missed a lot of camp, but he hasn't been that bad to where we're just writing him off. And again, if that's the case, then why in the hell did we have our starting quarterback playing at the end of preseason game with the number 3s and the number 4s? So I'm going to stand by that as why I don't believe that this trade is viable, why the Steelers aren't going to do it, why I still believe Russell Wilson is going to be the starter for Pittsburgh week 1. For that simple fact, Justin Fields was in at the end of that game. No reason for him to be in. None. But he was. And don't tell me it was about evaluating him. You don't have to evaluate him with the 3s and the 4s. Okay? Like I said it on a couple of lives, and I hold true. I think it was borderline disrespectful to Justin Fields, to be honest with you. But that's just me. That's just me. So, but that trade, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It wouldn't be the worst thing. I am 1,000% biased, so I do not want it. And the reason is because I don't want basket case Tannehill on my football team. But, it's not stupid. It's not stupid. Let's just say that. So, okay, we got a poll question. Let's pick up the poll question, people. Who do you want to see start week 1 at QB versus the Falcons? A, Russell Wilson, or B, Justin Fields? I mean, it's pretty much that simple. I know we just talked about a trade. That's not really logical. So who do you want to see start? A, Russell Wilson, B, Justin Fields? Let me know in the comments, people. Let me know in the comments. So to kind of summarize some of this, look, the Steelers got to make a decision on Broderick Jones. Okay, enough of the dilly-dallying with this man. Put him at left tackle and start getting him the reps, and let's get this thing moving. I think some of the back and forth has hurt his development. We can say it's the injury or whatever the case may be, but he's out there. And not only has he been out there practicing, in the joint practice sessions, he's been dominating. That's the thing to think about. What we've seen in preseason games has been horrific. But in the joint practice sessions, the 11-on-11s, the one-on-one drills, yeah, he's been out there dominating. So I don't know what the correlation or the translation or whatever. It's not transitioning over into the games. We got to have that start to happen. I think the first thing you got to do, let this kid play his natural position. Nobody gives a damn that Dan Moore Jr. can't play right tackle. So what? He can't play it. We'll deal with that when it's time to deal with it. But for now, Broderick Jones is your left tackle. And no ifs, ands, or buts. Let it go. If anything, it's going to build some confidence. Put him at left tackle in this preseason game and let him build up some confidence moving into the regular season. Because I think that might be some of it, of this right now, is mental. Is that mentally he's shot, switching back and forth, not knowing where he's going to play from one rep to the next. It can be taxing on a young guy, on a young player trying to find his way. That's why I think you just put him over there, leave him alone, and let him do his thing. So don't mess this up, coaching staff. We've seen you do that previously. We've seen it with other guys. Don't do it with this guy, man. He's too good and too valuable. Too good and too valuable. So that's it for today, people. We appreciate everybody being out here. Again, you can always find Steelers Almighty on YouTube at youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. You can also find it anywhere that you see social media. You can find Steelers Almighty on anywhere that you get a podcast. Steelers Almighty is out there. So make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe. More importantly, leave all those comments. Like I said, I love going back and forth, agreeing or disagreeing with all your all's takes. Remember the hotline, 412-444-8390. Start calling in, people. Regular season's right around the corner. Love you guys. Aloha.